welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode, and this episode is very important for us because we will discuss on futuristic technology in education. We have our expert from South Asia. We have Professor Dr. Mamun, uh, Mr. Saleh. Uh, we have two Mamun, one from Daffodil University and another from Independent University, both of them from professor from Daffodil University and Independent University. Beside that, we have our world famous speakers, Mr. Akram Khan, Mr. Akram Haq, and he is actually running a Policy Times from India. Perhaps this is one of the largest initiative from around the world. Actually, I think your organization now covering in not only in India, he is covering around the world, and he is doing excellent work with his Policy Times. And I think this is the biggest platform for South Asia to discuss about the policy as well as innovative technology and innovation. Beside that, we have our young talented pool, those who are actually our innovator, our philosopher, and they are working as a fellow for World Talent Economy Forum. We have Mr. Saleh Aman, we have Mr. Abu Sufyan, we have Mr. Debashish, and our fellow from UK, Mr. Adam. So I want to start from Professor Dr. Mamun, like how you want to analyze about futuristic technology in educations and what's going on inside the South Asia, and how you want to share your views and opinion about futuristic education technology.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to give the special warm greetings to all speakers. And I'm honored that I'm the part of that one. And definitely, we have to give a special appreciation to Mr. Sharif for his innovative works, for innovative topics, choosing for this kind of webinar. At first, I'd like to give the theoretical perspective that what is the emerging technology, so that the other speakers they can talk on that, how we can apply in our South Asian countries. If you think about the USA standard, and if you think the South Asian standard, there is some difference in terms of the deliverables, in terms of the dissemination, and we have to understand the cultural variation as well. So if you think that emerging technologies that could be come up in the near future, it could be like near future is 2020 to until 2030. Then we have to come up with the decision of the adaptive learning. So we have to familiarize this kind of adaptive learnings, so that it is all kind of technology that provide the learning activities to students based on their needs and learning style and behavior. So you just think that this is the new way we have to define that students' needs, students' behavior. And then we have to think the next one, that augmented reality or simulations. Simulation-based our education learning system. And then maybe we can think about the education technology based on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is one kind of development in our new technological advancement. Now, we have to think how we can apply this artificial intelligence in our education system, particularly teaching. And we'll come back again when we discuss the second round discussion. But I believe that our other speakers, they also share their opinion as well. So artificial intelligence. If you think that like the Asian developed country like Japan, how they are applying this artificial intelligence in the education system. But still, our South Asian country are a little behind of this scenario. Then come to the next technology advancement, like 5G technological advancement. Still, in our subcontinent, we are using that 4G, and some of the places still the 3G. If you go to some of the places in the India, then you can see there's still the 3G condition, even in our country, Bangladesh. So it is what I said that Japan, if you think that they are using 5G. So we are still working on the 4G. So that means we understand there is some difference in when you go for the education, particularly this pandemic time when we started the online education system. At that time, it was a one kind of barrier. When you go for the Google Meet, or you go to the WebEx meeting, we notice there's something problem. So that is another issue in the future technological advancement in education system. Automation. Automation drives a huge part of the world we live in. Now, come to the question is that how the education sector is to sure to benefit from this automation. So this is another discussion. Hopefully, we can come back again later on.
Okay.
Competency-based education. Now we are expecting that traditionally we assume that if anyone asks you that what do you want to become your aim in life, then we think the doctor, physician, or engineer. This is a very traditional thinking, and still in our subcontinent we are using this kind of concept. But we notice that even the parents, they intended to attract their kids for the engineer to become the doctor. Unfortunately, students, they are not feeling that kind of interest. So that is another technology advancement. We have to think now competency-based education, hands-on experience in education. Maybe we have to go from some specialized technological-based technical education system. Through this special technology students get to be matched with learning activities that are designed for the level of learning ability. There is another one, learning analytics. If you look very carefully, that if you like to apply the learning analytics in our system, like nowadays we have to work on the big data. So now you know that like 20 years before and now it's changing. So as an emerging technology, learning analyst is now being used by teachers to better record the learning behavior of students. So what I said, I mentioned the seven types of, I mentioned that the seven emerging technological advancement in the education system and teaching. But now come to the reality. What is now we are doing the practice? I like to study this way that before the COVID-19 period. So if you assume that our COVID-19 started December 2019 from China, end of the year. I still recall that time I was in Malaysia. There was a conference. I met some professor from China. They discussed. It was the December 30 and 29. There is something is happening in the China at the time. So if you assume that okay, early 2020 COVID-19 period started. That time in our subcontinent, we still continuing our traditional education system, traditional learning teaching system, face-to-face learning. And then when the in the month of March, mid of the March, and then when our subcontinent, they're planning to close the schools, college, and university. Then initially, a few months, we stopped everything. We assume that maybe system will be come back again within the 1 or 2 months, and we have to start again face-to-face learning. Then when you understood after 1 month that no, situation is not the predictable, it's an unprecedented situation. So then we have to move to the online education system. And then I still recall that mid of the 2020 when I discussed with a few discussions in India, the professor said that though they like to start the online education system, but following the online exam system. Still, our traditional exam system, you know that the assessment system is different. So they are not depend on that. They are not. They have not trust upon that online assessment system. So another debate is started. So look very carefully. If you like to apply the technology, online education system, we can apply the Google Meet, we can apply the Zoom, we can apply the WebEx, Cisco networking system, other system, but still there were no confidence upon this one. And then when we started to start the assessment in the online education system, the question is how we can do the assessment. Then again we have to go to that formative assessment system, summative assessment system. There is a assignment. You have to think about the traditional quiz. We have to leave this one, go for the open book exam. We need the more analytical questions so that there will be lots of solutions will be there. Because if you say in this in our country, in our subcontinent, that you can open the book in the online education system, you have to look at the camera. It's it's not practical at all. The situation is that we have to go to that kind of lab. So look very carefully. If you like to apply the technology, then we have to need the more analytical question, more practical oriented question, so that the student they can do the case study based research, case study based thinking, and come up the findings, which is not very familiar in our subcontinent area. Even I remember in the last year when in the Indonesia, even the Malaysia, we started the lecture. I surprised that Malaysian most of the students turn off the camera. And then the question is there whether they're attending the class or not. So this is another issue. How we can make sure that attentive in the classroom, online classroom. So I think that I can give you some of the clear idea of what we are facing the problem. And now I think the other speaker, they can continue from here, technology advancement in our education system and teaching. And then inshallah, I'll come back again. I'll add more values. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. Mr. Akram Haq, you are from Policy Times. Is perhaps one of the active in India and around the world. You are running your Policy Time with lot of activities. But my question is that when we discuss about technology, do you think that when we think about technology innovations, how South Asia actually contributing in that area, technology innovation, as well as uh, last 1 and 2 years of this COVID-19 problem and challenges, how education industries actually face the challenges and overcome from this present pandemic situation. Mr. Akram Haq.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah,
Sharif, for the
just
opportunity.
just sorry, just 10 seconds. I request all of the speaker, can you open your camera, because we have very strong audience, especially different government bodies, different corporation from Asia Pacific, largest corporations. So if you open up your camera and actively engage with the discussion, it will be helpful, or otherwise I have to stop you from the discussion. Professor Mr. Akram Haq.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif, for the opportunity, and all my fellow panelists. I warm greetings again, just like Dr. Habib. Uh, I have been working in the field of education since last 4 years through the Policy Times, and since last 2 years have been a complete roller coaster journey, as
Mhm.
we all have been experiencing. Now, I don't know where, because I do not come from technology, and neither I come from education. So all my views and points will be peripheral, outskirt. So please let us agree to disagree on a lot of points. Uh, South Asia has actually suffered a lot during pandemic due to limited digital access. So since South Asia has the largest poor of the world, poor population of the world, hence the cost of purchasing technology uh, or the affordability of the large chunk has led a lot of trouble to the kids. We also tried to provide technology to the students as much as possible. Later, we realized there are a lot of challenges with the quality of technology, at the same time, the affordability of the kids. So, what this will lead to is a huge socio-economic gap. This came
Mhm.
out of the discussion since you asked about the South Asia. So, among all the regions, Africa and South Asia suffered miserably. If you see the other regions like America or Europe, they did not suffer much,
Mhm.
partly because the digital education is part of their education system since last 10 years, so 10 to 15 years. Since they have adapted digital learning since the beginning, they did not suffer much, but we did not have. There was a huge gap. But one great thing that the pandemic did, I mean, it's a blessings. So pandemic is a blessings in disguise. So is that it has rapidly digitized lot of people, a
Mhm.
lot of students and community within South Asia. So this
Mhm.
has helped a lot, because there was a huge gap between the education standards of the West and East, like South Asia. And this access, digital access, irrespective of rich, poor, and all, has given them a better understanding about English and access to the world free huge resources which are available.
Mhm.
So this
Mhm.
availability of the resources and accessibility of learning English easily has helped a lot the South Asian students. So in South Asia, speaking in English used to be one of the biggest achievements of life.
Mhm.
Today,
Mhm.
even kids like primary or secondary kids are speaking in English, or they are at least comfortable in English.
Mhm.
You don't need
Mhm.
to push much hard work in terms of teaching them English. So
Mhm.
we have mitigated that gap. The second thing is it has given access to high quality lectures. So earlier our South Asian kids were solely dependent on low quality basic teaching resources or learning resources available by their local teachers or their neighboring tuition coaching centers. What the access to YouTube, Facebook, and all other platforms, or many government platforms. For example, government of India has come up with world class apps which provided science education, language education, arts education, uh, very high quality apps. And these
Mhm.
apps have been really helping, and these are better than many best quality private edutech companies. So these has and these are all absolutely free. So these kind of
Mhm.
free access to world class resources has actually helped the students. Now here, what we need to I'll come to the technology part of it, that how it is going to work. So right now, if you see, there are a couple of technologies which are already impacting education. Now this will also create a huge gap. This gap also we need to address very very sensibly, and I myself do not have any clear roadmap how we are going to achieve it. And this part is a mix of software as well as hardware. So, how do we make hardware available to every household or every education institution? Is a big question to our education policymakers and our regional community, because unless the hardware is available, the software is not going to work. And the hardware means doesn't mean a computer; it can be a mobile phone. But a mobile phone gives a limited access of quality education. A desktop or a laptop gives a different kind of or different experience and quality of education. I'll come back to the couple of technology. Artificial intelligence is going to bring huge change, whether we accept this fact or not. I again I requested to agree to disagree on a lot of points. Is that artificial intelligence is going to make huge change. A lot of edutech companies like Baiju today, India's company has become world's largest edutech company. And how what they're doing is all about using AI. But AI is a very superficial. AI currently is in a very superficial form. There is no exact picture and clarity of how AI is impacting, but different
Mhm.
platforms are using it. Cyber security is going to impact again miserably and very deeply. So hence, we do not, though we don't take much interest of cyber security right now, but it's going to massively impact the education sector, and we should take it very seriously. How the future cybersecurity roadmap is going to take place. Otherwise, our students will be in grave danger. Uh, Blockchain will kind of bring a different kind of, but I'll come to blockchain will bring a different kind of thing in context to the cybersecurity. I'll come to 3D printing and augmented reality and automation, which Dr. Habib also substantially touched. But what I before that I want to say that technology, what we need to understand and accept the fact that technology is going to be our part of life in all possible fields.
Mhm.
So, irrespective of whether someone is a medical student or an engineering student or an art student or a commerce student or a language student, we need to imbibe technology at the fullest,
Mhm.
because the next 10 to 15 years is going to be disruption based on technological innovation.
Mhm.
And now the problem of South Asia is we are always a recipient or a consumer of technology. We are never the innovator of technology. Hence, the biggest challenge to us is how do we convert ourselves into from a consumer of technology to an innovator of technology. Like, for example, today we are using YouTube, which is not our creation. We are using Facebook, which is not our creation. We are using Zoom, which is not our creation. These are not the end of technological innovation. These are just
Mhm.
the beginning of next phase of technology, post-pandemic education transition or technological innovation. The next phase of Zoom, the next transition of Zoom or Facebook or YouTube is going to be much, much more deeper and much, much more impactful, which will absolutely reduce the gap between machine and human being.
Mhm.
How you will, there are a lot of technologies which are already in place, which will be gradually replacing machine. Today, if you go to
Mhm.
US, the Elon Musk's that vehicle, this thing factory is absolutely replaced with machine. You
Mhm.
will find clearly. Even I visited Coca-Cola factory in Belgium. I think 10 years before. The factory produces million cans of Coke a day, and there are less than 50 people working in the factory. And I'm talking like around 10 years before story. Imagine the production or manufacturing system is going to be 10 years down the line. Similarly, in the healthcare sector, we still do not realize the importance and intervention of technology. Very easily, you will see in America today, 60 to 70% of the healthcare services are in the digital format. Every healthcare services are digital. Couple of years later, you will find the surgeries are happening by machine. Doctor, we may not require a doctor a couple of years later. We require an artificial intelligence or a real engineer who will just supervise the machine, who will take care of the machine. We may not need a doctor, physically present in a hospital for an operation. That kind of situation is going to come. By 2030, you will find virtual world will take over the physical world. There is no doubt. Today we are connected from different part of the world virtually, and we feel equal amount of connect. Again, I said agree to disagree. So we feel a lot amount of connect between us already. So this is not going to go away. This is only going to grow. This is only going to grow deeper. And to what with the mix of augmented reality. Augmented reality, I hope you all know a basic format of it, is going to replace physical touch completely in future. So through augmented reality, you can create Taj Mahal in Malaysia. You don't have to. Someone doesn't have to visit Taj Mahal. Someone doesn't have to come to India to see Taj Mahal. And it is economically. So why technology will rule also the other part of it? It is economically very, very much viable. So the economic viability and massive R&D investment will always take technology ahead. Now, coming back, so what we need to focus here is massive amount of digital literacy. Dr. Habib must be working on that, and a lot of other academicians are working on that. What we need to keep in mind that right now, we need to prepare, or we need first level of education has to go on digital literacy. Let us educate our kids of how to use technology. We cannot avoid it. That is the first thing. The second thing is what we need to train our kids. I think I'm taking too longer time. I'll be short in 2 words. Self-learning and personalized learning. This is going to be the next phase. So what we need to get, all the educator should be a mentor now. No need and there would be no requirement of classroom lectures. So teacher's role will shift from a classroom teacher to a mentor. A teacher will just guide that dear kid, just learn from these sources. The student will decide what he will learn, and the teacher will just mentor them to learn these things, and it will be absolutely personalized. So this is the model in America. In South Asia, the students are at the mercy of teachers of what they are teaching. So this model will change. The global standard will feel a huge disruption. So with this, I'll stop. I think I'll hand over to Dr. Malik.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Akram. I can understand that you are moving with the innovative world, and definitely we have to know what the innovation world can do for us. But beside that, as a professional, I always believe that human interaction is very important, because World Talent Economy Forum, we are working with Boston consulting companies, those who develop collective super intelligence, and some of the AR and VR corporations. So always we believe data is important. For generating data and accuracy, we definitely need more human interactions. Beside that, one of the important news I just want to share with our speakers and audience, because World Talent Economy Forum, not only in dialogue, they are more in action. Because beside these discussions, we are developing a strong economy and ecosystems in Asia Pacific. Perhaps this is one of the largest in Asia Pacific, like public-private partnership. We are organizing not only the dialogue, beside that we are developing resilient Malaysia concept, and through this process, the Malaysian government actually developed $60 billion ecosystem with the help of public-private partnership. World Talent Economy Forum, they are actually handle the process. And I want to invite all of the corporate bodies and the government and the high official, high intellectual community, please join in our discussion. because we are promoting our event in the like in the top of the top positions in different government, different corporations, and the different academia. And we are more in action. We want to develop a more resilient ecosystem, even the educational resilient ecosystem for Malaysia. And I am sure through this process, different developing nations also get an excellent model how to develop a resilient concept after this COVID. So now directly I want to request Professor Mamun. He is from Daffodil University. So yes, I know that Daffodil University is one of the innovative and creative university in Bangladesh. So how you want to analyze today's topic and what's going on inside Bangladesh or in South Asia?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the earlier speakers, especially my respected Professor Dr. Muhammad Mamun Habib sir, as well as my friend from India, Mr. Akram. I'm very emotional when I see the name India because I did MBA from Bangalore University under Indian government scholarship, that is ICCS scholarship. So I stayed over there for a long time, so I know the Indian education system. Anyway, so I'm acknowledging all the speech. I think both the speakers. Just what I want to give my speech in a two ways. First, let me share or let me add something with the earlier speakers regarding the world education system, and then I will, of course, I will share the South Asian systems, particularly our Bangladesh system, where we are lag behind and where we can work for that. So the first, let me add in the future classroom or futuristic technology in learning and teaching or teaching and learning, what I say, I think the world standard already they are focusing on maybe South Asian context. We have the opportunity to work to make the classroom giving the emphasis on online social networking. So online social networking, if I say, if you consider the developed countries already they are using, but if we consider the South Asian countries, I'm not saying all the South Asian countries, maybe few of the South Asian countries already they have implemented, maybe few of the countries still we are far behind of that. Social online social networking, just like we can say that the teacher can create the WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, or even some cases, maybe if I consider the Bangladesh context, maybe Facebook group also some cases it is applicable because it is most of the people use that. So by creating the online social networking, as I think earlier speaker said, that teacher has to play the role just like a mentor. So in that case, so this social networking platform can create the open dialogue. So the friends, they can share their problem and other friends, they can share their ideas. And also if it is wrong, in that case, maybe just teacher can guide them. So I think the online social networking platform, as I said, it is already working in the developed countries, in South Asian countries, maybe few countries already they are implementing. But if I consider some other countries, maybe we have the opportunity to work on that. And next one, I want to add one more point. Just I want to add with the earlier speaker, as we know that we are in the digital classroom, or maybe our education will be the digital. In that case, I want to mention that biometrics. So I think already earlier speaker, maybe my term will be the replacing term. So I think some cases maybe already earlier speaker they mentioned about the AI, but in that case specifically I'm using the term biometrics. So in the classroom, how we can use this? We know that biometrics basically it is using for the security companies, especially we know. But in the classroom, we can use this, and I know a few of the developed countries already they are using, especially if you see the library borrowing a book, no need any ID card, so they are using the biometrics format. So if I biometrics like we know the example, like we can use the fingerprints, facial recognition, iris pattern, some cases maybe voice. So in the classroom, how we can make it? So just because we have to cope up with the developed countries, or we have to cope up with the digital world. And also again, I'm doing the research on green human resource management. So that's why always my concern for the future generation also, we have to keep the world for the future generation also. In that case, always I'm against the paper-based activities. So in that case, even especially the plastic. So if we use the ID card, means you are producing the plastic. So I'm against on that. Again, maybe somebody maybe disagree with my speech, maybe. So this is the time. And as you mentioned, that Daffodil International University in Bangladesh, I think, of course, without any doubt, I can say that they are the pioneer in the digital education, because our honorable chairman, Dr. Sabur Khan, he fond of technology. And during COVID-19, I know, I think as per my knowledge, they were ready from the beginning or before closing the universities in Bangladesh. So I think one day I was sharing with my chairman also that how they can use, and I think he told that okay, very soon maybe we are going to implement that. That is biometric format. No need to take any attendance in the class. No need to use any ID card for entering into the campus. No need to use any plastic ID card for borrowing the book from the library also. So we can use very easily the biometric format in our education system. And I think later on, if I get the opportunity, so I will share a few more points. So just now I added only 2 points. The first point is online social networking in the classroom. And the second point is biometrics format in our classroom. Now let me speak another 1 or 2 minutes, considering the South Asian context, where we are and how we can proceed on that. Of course, as I said that I don't want to mention any country's name. As you know that in South Asia we have a few countries, 7 or 8, what I say, few countries already developed. And of course, in that case, India is the first one, undoubtedly. But if you specifically, if you ask me in Bangladesh context, maybe we have the opportunity to work on that. In that case, as I think earlier speaker said that, Mr. Akram said that still what are the technology we are using, we are not producing. We are consumer on that. So in that case, maybe South Asian countries, this is the right time. They have to think on that. In that case, again, individually, Mr. Sharif is thinking, Mr. Mamun is thinking, it will not work. So I think if we want to get the solution, in that case, we have to take a macro perspective, not micro perspective. Micro perspective, we can raise the issue, but actually it will work if the things come from the macro perspective. I want to mean that from the government or policy makers. So in that case, government has to keep the big budget on R&D, especially R&D. We know that South Asian countries, how much budget they are keeping for the education as well as for the research and development. So if the government, if they don't give the more emphasis on the R&D, if they don't give enough money for the research, especially for the university level, then it will not work. So I think the government has to work on that. And individual level, just I want to add 1 point, and then I will give the floor to the other speakers. That is, again, I think we are talking about that we have to teach the future generation how to use the technology. I think the future generation, they are smarter than us. Means my daughter is smarter than me using the technology. So, but I'm the teacher. So I am the person, I am taking the class. So I think and you know, this is my perception, that when people become older, they take more time to adjust with the technology. I think we can do a survey on that. And I think no need to survey also. I think everybody will be agree with me that young generation, they can cope up the technology very quickly. But as an older generation, always our professors, they are very respectable. But again, they have to cope up, because if we say that in future, the traditional classroom will not be there, then what will happen for a professor? So I think, again, it is a big challenge, but we have to overcome that. I think man can do anything. So we need a positive attitude. If we consider that we are the senior professors, just we need a positive attitude. We have to learn on that. Without adjusting with the new technology, nobody can survive in the future world. So that is right now. Over to Mr. Sharif. Thank you.
Okay, excellent, Professor Mamun. Actually, World Talent Economy Forum, we have our academic activities. Academy, not only the research, because we are arranging conference with Tesla up next year September. Perhaps it will be one of the largest scientific conference in Asia Pacific as well. And many of the innovative industrialists like Elon Musk and Bezos and Bill and Melinda Gates, already we invite them for our conference, and hopefully it will be very unique, and IEEE definitely will be our partner for this conference. And beside that, we are ensuring 100% that the student, those who join in World Talent Economy Forum academic initiative, they are actually engaging with different startup from Silicon Valley, from Europe, and from Singapore, from Malaysia, and they are getting 100% knowledge from industries, and 100% they are employed through this process. So maybe this is another way of improvement of education. But World Talent Economy Forums, we have our target that we will create employment for 1 million people. That's why we are developing resilient Malaysian concept. And definitely it's not only all of the academic initiative, we are engaging with many top level industry, and this our top level industrial experience for this youth community can change their mind, change their attitude, change their concept, and they will be industry driven employee. So those who want to interest in our team, they can join. So Mr. Adam, he's also our fellow from UK. He's also working with my core team, and he's also conceptually helping me to develop many concept and everything. Mr. Adam, I love to learn because I'm a big fan of Oxford University and the Cambridge University. I was there, and Oxford and Cambridge actually creating very valuable knowledge for the global community right now. And beside that, they have a unique educational model. So how you want to analyze your British model for the South Asian concept? And my major concept that we in the futures we have to create more employment opportunity for youth, and we are working on that, how we can do that.
Thank you, Sharif. Thanks for having me and distinguished guests. I'm glad you mentioned Oxford and Cambridge. Cambridge in particular is one of my favourite cities. It's very beautiful. And Nottingham as well is another educational hub.
Mr. Adam, we could not hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Can you check your microphone system?
I've got a fan. I'll just turn my fan off.
Okay, no problem.
Is that better?
I think so. No problem. Please carry on.
Thank you. So I hail from the city of Nottingham, and Nottingham is my home city, and I have lived here all my life. It has a rich and diverse population of people native to the city, people migrating over here for work, tutors and students from all over the world. So we have so places like Nottingham and Cambridge and Oxford have a very rich history when it comes to education, and going back to Cambridge and Oxford in particular, going back to medieval times. So we have Nottingham as well has a rich and diverse population of people from every continent and every country. We have two universities actually in Nottingham: Nottingham Trent University and University of Nottingham. Nottingham Trent University is best known for its art and design, fashion and creative arts programs. And it's also home to one of the UK's largest law schools. University of Nottingham is well known for pharmacy and pharmacology and veterinary services. And the University of Nottingham has a campus over in Malaysia, which I believe was the first time a British university set up a campus in another country. And as we mentioned before, when we talked about COVID helped to highlight the advantages of digital tech and remote education. I know for me personally, this access was a godsend, it was a savior. Without being too hyperbolic, digital education helped me from going a little bit stir crazy during lockdown. And I also live with family as well, which also helped massively. But I think the big development to come that we are hoping for is a kind of, in the far future, and certainly is a kind of matrix-esque Deus Ex Machina device where you can plug yourself into the internet or some future version thereof and download whatever information or knowledge they wish to straight into people's heads, brains, minds. One criticism there, though, is that the usual discipline needed to earn the access to that knowledge, and again, the discipline needed to remember it and recall it, usual discipline and educational rites of passage that our forefathers needed to be able to learn and wield whatever knowledge is not there, it's absent. And furthermore, one weakness that could threaten this is the possibility of a cyber attack, and the World Economic Forum and a few other bodies have discussed the possibility of a cyber attack that could crash the world economy, and the idea of a global cyber incident that could plunge the whole online world into darkness is almost unthinkable, and the scope and the wide-reaching consequences are astronomical, of course. There is nothing that the internet is not advantageous for. So we touched upon artificial intelligence already, of course. So try to imagine or try to visualize the total sum of all human knowledge. It is vast. We have biology, physics, pharmacology, neurology, but not only that, we have crossovers and synthesized hybrid fields and subdisciplines like biophysics, neuropharmacology, neurobiology, psychoneuroimmunopharmacology, and so on. All the different combinations you can think of. And within each discipline and subdiscipline, there is a wealth of knowledge within each one, regardless of how specialized a field is. Even the most specialized study, the most specialized discipline is a reservoir of knowledge. So the problem now is the tension, this tug of war between being a polymath and a specialist. I do not think many people can be adept at both polymathy and specialization. Certainly a person who is gifted in both characteristics are very rare and very gifted. But it is my belief that artificial intelligence will bridge the gap between ultra specialization and the entire knowledge base in a synthesized, syncretic, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary polymathic framework. We could imagine this dimensionally. Specialization goes this way, whilst multidisciplinarity goes this way. And another important part of that solution would be prostheses like Neuralink and whatever else will come beside it or after it, which loops back into the Matrix-esque information download device where you can learn anything within seconds in a sci-fi kind of fantasy way. And this grand synthesis of all knowledge and the transhumanistically enhanced ability for human beings to wield it in tandem with a neuroprosthesis and AI could be the way forward out of the global threats and existential risks that hang over us, like climate change, pollution, cyber terrorism. AI itself, of course, let's not forget that AI could turn against us. It's important to remember. But of course, that is even now still quite far off and a bit more close to home. I always like to use this show as a good example of the advantages of digital tech that is already here and the doors it has opened and how far we have come already since the 80s, the 90s, 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And even in real time during a discussion like we're having, if I want to write some notes about what I'm going to say before it is my turn, I can just use a search engine to check some facts or statistics about something and to check whether a certain talking point is true or false, which we couldn't do before this kind of e-learning tech. I've had the pleasure of being part of these discussions for a couple of months now, and in that time I've learned about and discussed a multitude of many different subjects that Dr. Sharif has chosen for each episode, and that is a real joy. So the positives of digital education, learning programs, and e-education speak for themselves, and you learn a lot when you are with people from all around the world where borders and divisions have no. So I'm from England. I'm with distinguished guests hailing from Malaysia, Bangladesh, India. And we are a definitely blessed generation in certain respects, and things are not perfect and probably never will be. But we should be very proud with what we have accomplished, and there are more opportunities than ever to become an autodidact in a chosen subject or network of subjects. So, yeah, and
yes. Excellent. I just want to share, because Professor Mamun, Professor, like both of the Mamun, they are in here. Proactive, like as a student, we have to be very proactive, especially South Asians, because not Adam from Europe or something. We have many fellows from Ivy League universities, even Europe and other things. Those who behind the scene, actually, they are working with us. And I want to say, like when Adam's committed something right the way he finished it. But I'm sorry, like when our South Asians or Bangladeshi or our student committed anything, I do not get results. Somehow, maybe this is also another way of developments, because our youth community, you have to be proactive, not only commitment, not only dream, you have to be very much action oriented. And this is a good example that World Talent Economy Forum, we have even many fellow like Adam from Ivy League. They're very much like action oriented. So I request our fellow from South Asia, from Bangladesh, from India, take some action, finish some job, take some responsibilities, and prove yourself, because there are too much of opportunity. Trust me, there are many opportunities around. You have to grab the opportunity with your action, not only with your talk and dream. So Adam can be a good example, not like he's from Britain and that's why I give him the priority. No, he proved long time. Our press release, our corporate profile, our analysis, our blueprint, anything I provide him as a fellow. Right the way he finished. So I request all of our fellow, those who even observing our show, please be proactive. Because already 300 corporations from around the world, not only from Silicon Valley, from around the world, 300 corporations join in World Talent Economy Forum, and all of the entrepreneurs, big corporate house, they have billion-dollar business. They are complaining we need efficient employee, effective employee, and we have our honorable faculties and the think tank, so they can actually help to grow the mindset, because mindset is important. Who is from Bangladesh, who is from Britain, who is from Malaysia, it's not important. Important is mindset. So that's why I request all of our fellow join in World Talent Economy Forum. You can get the multicultural environment. And I think Professor Mamun and both of the Professor Mamun from IUB and Daffodil University, if you have young people, those who want to work in World Talent Economy Forum as a fellow, they can join and definitely they can motivate themselves in the global arena. So Mr. Aman.
Mr.
Yes.
Sharif, Mr. Sharif, just give me 1 minute as you erase the one issue. If you're, as you're talking about our subcontinent, particularly Bangladesh and our subcontinent
India, Pakistan.
You mentioned about the scenario that in terms of the commitment, in terms of responsibility, we are a little behind of the scenario. The real fact is that you just think. I don't want to talk about the student. I don't want to talk about our other group of people. I like to talk about the professor's perspective. Internationally, professors means that this is our institution. They are the icon of the society. And if you think they're like the Thailand, the Thammasat University professor, if they say anything, that is the one kind of concept will be published in the newspaper, and then it will create the different actions for people, general people. So this kind of role in the society. If you think that like the Malaysian university professors of the EPM professors, if you think that like the EKM professor, when they'll say anything, there's an impact in the society. On the other hand, in our country, when you think that, I don't want to talk about the other country, but if our country, but our professor, we couldn't create that environment. We could not create the environment that we need some of the role, basic roles when you are the professors, like commitment. It's very important. If the professor's commitment we can understood, then automatically that everybody will get this commitment. Second one, the responsibility. We are not taking the responsibility of the others. We are not taking the responsibility of our strengths. So how do you think that our students will take the responsibility? If it is a mutual respect, this is not the question of professors or students. It's not the professor, senior professor, junior professor. We need the mutual respect. And what I see in this culture in the USA, I notice the professors when I'm working in the university, in the University of Texas, Arlington, I noticed this one. University professor, even the D, when he's talking to the discuss with the TA, with the PhD scholar, MS scholar, the respect is different. They are giving this kind of empowerment. On the other end, for our culture is that if the professor says that I know everything, I know this one, I am doing this one, I am the great in the world, you are doing nothing. So this kind of attitude, this is a repulsion, of the students. Because we are the society, right? We can ignore the society culture. And even I like to mention, we need the visionary leadership. The professor need the visionary leadership, but we think that I am the all in all. I know everything. So we do not create that kind of vision in our society. Because we have to start this one. If you look very carefully, Indian people, they are leading the education system, technological system all over the world. But I always mention this one with my Indian friends. When they are in India, they cannot do this one. But when they are in the USA, when they are in the UK, they are leading the society. It means that culture. Sometimes it's very important, the culture environment. Okay.
Yes.
And another one thing, as you just invite the World Economic Forum that young generation can join. That we have one society in our country, Bangladesh Society for Private University Academics. Basically, this is for the private university faculty members, because that if you compare the public university, private university in our country, there's some difference. Private university, we started the online education system earlier, before that our public university. even what the Abdullah Mahmoud mentioned about this issue, the professors, the public university, they're very reluctant in the technological advancement. They are not promoting that online education system. They are a little bit slow in this area arena. On the other hand, public universities, faculty members, they were reluctant. On the other hand, if you think that like private university faculty, we are very promotive. We are taking the action. What is the action oriented thinking? So what I said, that our BSPO, there's one platform. We can do
Mhm.
one thing like the World Economic Forum and BSPO. We can do some collaborative works. Particularly, we can do
Excellent.
some work. So that
Sure.
that will be the joint venture. I am the vice president of the research in the BSPO. So I can propose
Excellent.
this in our next meeting. Our Abdullah Maun, he is a joint secretary that he can work from there. Al Saleh Akram, he is also the our EC member. So we will propose this one that we can do some collaborative works with World
Excellent.
Economic Forum. Okay, thank you.
Excellent, excellent, Professor. That is the things actually we are developing, because we need to take some action, and if we can take some actions, and we are developing a cultural, very good cultural things, and we also believe in meritocracy. What you are discussing, that when Indian people or even Bangladeshi student, they go to USA or abroad, they get a lot of opportunities. It's all about meritocracy, and what we say, talent economy. We are developing opportunity for talents from around the world, especially for developing nations. And with the help of developed nations, we will create a better ecosystem for the developing nation, and that is the way we can uplift our economic activities, and we can uplift our society. And hopefully this is our 374 episode. In 374 episode, you can get all of the interesting corporations, academia, politicians, policymakers, NGOs, and even all of the famous personality, those who joins with their concept, and they are trying to developing a better ecosystem. So I believe that not only Malaysian government or Singapore government, Indian government, or Italy or Japanese government, they believe in World Talent Economy Forum. In some point, Bangladesh or Pakistan, even other developing nations, they will work with World Talent Economy Forum, and we will bring result. We will bring result. We will create more employment opportunity for our youth. Mr. Saleh, you are another dynamic person who actually introduced me this the unique personalities from Bangladesh. I really like your initiative, and I like all of our fellow and young people initiative. So how we can improve, how we can go for collaborative approach, and how we can enhance our economical activities through modern science, engineering, and technology.
Okay, so thank you so much, Professor Sharif, for giving me the opportunity to something. So actually, I'm listening from our distinguished guest that are presenting here. So so in terms of technology, yes, so we are trying to improve in terms of our educational service, and actually our professor Dr. Mamun Hoy sir said that we're taking initiatives for enrolling and implementing different technological disruptions, and also like we have a teacher society like Bangladesh Society for Private University Associates. So actually, like I would like to share an important thing is that right now I am conducting an exam of my students, and
Mhm.
I am now in this program. So so two simultaneous roles I am now playing. And
Excellent.
yesterday we had a development program arranged by our Bangladesh Society for Private University Associate. That time I also conducted an exam, and I participated there as a participant. So this is the magic of technology. So before COVID-19 pandemic, we could not think of it, because right now we had to trade off between whether I need to conduct the exam, or I need to attend a development program. But this is the magic of technology, that we can simultaneously attend two programs at a time. But at the same time, we need to think the some drawbacks, or
Mhm.
some negative aspects as well. Like, say for example, like from my experience, I have seen that when we conduct any class or any exam, students are facing technological disruptions, like internet connection disruptions. Maybe they forcefully signed out due to the internet connection failure, and then need to rejoin again from his or her device. So actually, in the meantime, there is a gap because he or she missed a portion of the lecture. And same thing happens with us as well. Like when I conducted a lecture, that time internet connection may be disrupted, and it actually hampers the flow of the lecture. So before implementing technological innovation in our educational sector, like we have understand that yes, we should implement blockchain, we should implement artificial intelligence, we should implement virtual reality, augmented reality. Yes, these are very good things, but we must build such infrastructure so that we can support it.
Exactly.
Right now, there are lots of gaps because our internet connection is not up to the mark. If I consider about the Bangladesh perspective, I can say that our internet connection is not capable of implementing such sort of heavy technological innovation at this moment. And at the same time, yes, we the faculty members, we are trying to develop our students, but yes, as you said, the students should be more proactive, because in online education, because
Mhm.
I also experienced online education in Sweden as well, because when COVID started, I was in Sweden, and I was in my last course in my MSc in sustainable development. So I attended class in through Zoom. So we need to participate more than the physical class. But when in terms of Bangladesh, like I face that students are seldomly engaged in the class, and with the teachers we have to face a lot of trouble in order to engage them in the class. Yes, we are trying to engage them as much as we can, but it's actually a very new thing to them. So the
Mhm.
knowledge about using technology is very important. So before applying any sort of technological innovation in our education, we must think about it, that our students should know about what is the technology. Because
Exactly.
just because it comes from out of the blue, and then they need to adapt it. But they instead of adapting it proactively, what they actually use it in a negatively. So, for example, like when students engage in a class, they also simultaneously play like any kind of cell phone game like PUBG or Free Fire. So
Mhm.
actually it's a problem. and
Mhm.
um, and I also see in the scene in the rural area. So we must also think about the rural area. We shouldn't consider about the capital city like Dhaka or the industrial city of Chattogram. We
Mhm.
also consider the whole country area. And in terms of India, we shouldn't consider about the Mumbai or the Bangalore. We must think about any sort of remote area like Ladakh or Arunachal. We also consider all things. So that is what SDG 4, educational for all. So we should consider the SDG 4, that so like this is like some private universities in Bangladesh, or some public universities. Yes, they're trying to implement those, but we have to think about the rural students as well, because I see that many of our students, they are living in the rural areas. So they face the internet connection. So we also think about them as well.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
No,
So
this is very important. And beside that, I want to share one of the information from World Economy Forum. Actually, not only Bangladesh or Nepal or Pakistan, actually even including India, we do not have enough infrastructure for AI. Like 40% organization that they have capacity, maybe Singapore has 72%. So actually, before we integrated with all of the big technology, that is the very important point. Actually, Mr. Saleh bring for the discussion. We need to develop a better infrastructure, and as well as our students must need to be proactive. This is very, very important, and I think we can work on that. Actually, World Talent Economy Forum, we also doing many research. I want to welcome Professor Mamoon and all of the other speakers. If you have a proposal for, because with the global community we are planning for one education system. Yes, we need more fund, we need more investment, and we need a good researcher. So if we can figure out some good strategy for education, maybe we can attract like UN and the World Bank and the other corporation, those who can support our initiative. Mr. Abu Sufyan, you are a philosopher, you are a writer, and you are always a positive contributor from Malaysia. So, what's new you want to add for today's discussion? Actually, I'm very happy with today's discussion. Many interesting point actually all of the speakers bring in the discussion. Abu Sufyan, Mr. Abu Sufyan, I cannot hear you clearly.
Yes, because I haven't started speaking.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, there is a noise. Yeah.
I think.
Can you check your microphone?
Better now?
Yep.
Sure.
Carry on,
Continue,
please.
please.
Okay. First of all, I'm really glad to see the familiar faces like Adam and Devashish and Professor Dr. Mamun Habib and also Ashik Rahim. And it is nice that you carry on with the discussion in different segments
Exactly.
with similar kind of people. So you know what they're thinking before even you start talking. So it's better. And also, Mr. Sharif deserves a thank you from all of us that he created this platform and help us to share the ideas. So actually, I'm a little bit perplexed that because some of you are talking about in the context of South Asia or India. So I would like to more focus on futuristic technology in education and teaching generally, like maybe from global perspective, because it would be easier. Because if we talk about in a country's context or in a region, then the discussion is vast area that you cannot cover. So maybe, so I'm sharing with you this because I want to help you to understand what my focus is. So I'll talk about technology and how it can shape teaching and learning in the future, let's say in coming 30 years or 100 years. First of all, it's all about replacement, that when Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they are students and teachers of one another. So when they were learning and they were teaching, there was no printed books. There was no any kind of iPads or digital platform whatsoever. But it did not stop them from learning or teaching. So we should not forget one thing, that the main essence is teaching the ideas, learning the ideas, spreading the ideas so that we can make the life better, so that we can fight so that we can fight diseases, pandemic, global disaster, so that we can establish peace and we commit war less. These are the things. So I think we are discussing more on how glorious and triumphant and extraordinary the technology is, and as if without technology we would be doomed, as if the world will end tomorrow if there is no Zoom or there is no virtual reality. It's not the case. Actually, human beings will carry on teaching and learning. We will carry on with this life. Not only human beings, other animals and life forms as well. So I want to remind everyone that we should not forget one thing, and which is very important, that the essence is idea, the essence is truth, the essence is to spreading ideas that are beneficial for mankind. So we are fortunate enough that we are born, let's say 30 years ago or 20 years ago, some of us, and maybe some of us 40 years ago, and we are very fortunate we can see the technological changes, and we can enjoy internet and other services. But this is not all. Okay, so second thing I would like to uh, add is, I think, virtual reality, which is something already happening, and perhaps within 30 years. So I'm not talking about what would happen 100 years after. I talk about immediate future. Let's say, Mr. Sharif, let's say within
In
30
three
years, what
years.
could be the scenario? Let's say
Okay.
3 years would be very short. Let's say 3 decades. So, so virtual reality is like, the late scientist Stephen Hawking, when he was very sick, and in his last couple of years, he used to take classes in Oxford and Cambridge and other universities and attending conferences through virtual reality, through hologram, through Zoom calls and others, years before the pandemic. So I think this could be something really important. Let's say Adam is based in UK. So after 10 years, he would be an expert on his field, an extremely valuable person. So someone from Kenya or Bangladesh or India can hire him, and he can take university classes. And at the same time, let's say Professor Dr. Mamun Habib, he could be hired by someone from USA or UK or any other country. So we can share the knowledge through the virtual medium. So that would be, I think, this is, I think, very near future. And I think some of the earlier speakers were talking about AI. Professor Dr. Mamun Habib also mentioned about AI, and others also about 3D. I think from Daffodil University, Mr. Mamun, he was talking about research and development. So 3D technology is, Mr. Sharif, you have to give me maybe 2 more minutes because I'm going to conclude. I have two more points to add. 3D printing, which is very, very important. Let's say, how did we discover the vaccine for coronavirus? 3D printing was extremely useful because it is very tiny, and then there is a micro level of, there is a printer which can print the structure on micro level and atomic level. So through which we would be able to actually discover the vaccine. And then also assistive teaching, like those who are blind and deaf, and maybe they have other disabilities. So we can innovate some more technology in the future that can be helpful for them. And then AI is a big thing. I think we can talk about for an hour or 2 hours maybe on AI and how it can shape future teachings and present teachings. I mean, it's incredible what is happening. And maybe in the next segment, I would talk about some downside of technology and all this. But for now, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abu Sufyan. Thank you for your excellent analysis. And if you want the best of the best collective super intelligence producer like David Kelly, he is a CTO of Boston Consulting Group. They are also in World Talent Economy Forum. I mean, he is a board of advisor. Even yes, last week in our AI session, they joined. For VR and AR, the best of the best people from Silicon Valley, they already nominated for Nobel Prize. Saridan Tatsuno, he is also joining World Talent Economy Forum. Even he joined in the last week. You can find for 3D printed, like Mr. Rob Enderley. He has an exceptional concept on 3D printing. So you also can get the brilliant mind in World Talent Economy Forum. That is the point we are producing. We are bringing all of the big peoples and the intelligent people in our forum, those who can mentors and guide the developing nation, especially the youth communities, because youth are the future and they can help us. And definitely we need to integrate our knowledge. So Professor Mamun and the professors, even Saleh and the scholar like Akram Khan, those who are highly capable and they're like institution, they can help us to integrate our knowledge. So that is our objective. Mr. Ashik, you are young, talented from corporations of Bangladesh. So what do you think? What your corporation demand? What your corporate demand actually from this academy?
Today, I will try to be very short because I was really carried away to year 3000, then pull me back from 3000 to 2021. due to this topic was really interesting and it is really drive me away. Uh, Before going to the main discussion, if I ask you, do you remember the movie Matrix? The
Mhm.
Matrix, 1991, it was released. There was a special part where the characters usually call the operators and ask for a program to learn something. Like if we take the Trinity, a character over there was asking operator that she needs to learn the pilot a chopper, and within a fraction of second that just happened. It it come through a program built in her mind, and she can learn the chopper. She can drive the chopper. That was the a dream when I was little. I was hoping that this could be happen. I don't have to work hard and these things will come on. But when I pulling myself from 3000 years to 2021, I see this technologies are a little bit here, and I don't need to go a little bit further because uh, I was almost lost. I was almost carried away, and almost in the process of not attending today's office also for this topic. So it was so much interesting. I was spending hours and hours for this, and I don't know I can be short or not. Uh, I divided this whole area, the current technologies which we are almost calling the future technologies, the current technologies which are right now here. I divided in three stages: hologram stage, AI stage, and the augmentation stage.
Mhm.
So, gentlemen, if we go through the hologram stage, it is already a current technology, not vastly used in education, but it is coming.
Mhm.
The attributes are, you can see the person who is giving you the learnings in life. There is two-way communication. The holograms are here. We can see him, and this two-way communication. And the the common fact is, it is as a database management. So whatever we are learning from holography, there is a background bots are working, and it is covering the information and data in the database. And later on, this will work, and they can do like Captain America movie Zola's algorithm, and it could be implemented. So then I was again carried away, and I was looking for what's going on. Then I went to China. Then I went in my dreams in China, and really I found some unimaginable things. Like they're the A, they're too much advanced in AI, and they are really managing a huge number of classrooms from a single database, and uh, it is called artificial intelligence camera, and it tracks the brain wave, and that
Mhm.
was the interesting part here. The monitor or the teacher can know which student is focusing and which is not. Then they they try to communicate, they try to conserve the student and make them much more attentive, and this is how they are boosting their young generation to the path they want to be. So
Mhm.
this is the most interesting thing, and for this reason, gentlemen, the whole investment is right now is 23 billion, and
Mhm.
the figure they have projected could be 60 billion in 2025. I'm not talking about too much away from this future. Only 3 years uh, later, you can see
Mhm.
the much more thing, and the attributes of that technology is monitoring, thinking pattern tracking, concentration tracking, and the database management. Here,
Mhm.
also the common thing is they're they're putting the data in a database for the further use. So Chinese are also there. And the last stage, I try to be much more shorter because it's a very big. When I was preparing this speech, it was becoming very big. Then I was cutting the whole thing, and the way it was carried, the augmentation stage, it is much more like futuristic thing. The database I was occurring again and again. They kept the things, they kept the program over there, and it is like a mobile or a device with you. Okay, and when you need to learn something, You can go through the device and they will give you videos, they will give you informations instant away, just like Google Glass. And uh, things will be much more easier for you. So learning will not be constant, or learning will not be compromised in a classroom. That will be much more real life learning. So it was really interesting topic for me. I was really carried away, so I try to be short, and that's all from me. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, Mr. Ashikur. I'm really happy with your analysis because it brings some positive vibe for our discussions. And most important thing is that yes, I think you should go in Hollywood if you want to meet with the Hollywood guy. We have Mr. Homestoner from Hollywood. He's a producer from Hollywood, the biggest producer from Hollywood, and you can meet with him even for AI and these things. We have world famous Professor Adrian, who actually developing all of the interesting AI. So you can meet all of the famous guy in World Talent Economy Forum, and I think this is the talent. This is the talent should be connected. So I think you should move in Hollywood, and we will help you. Don't worry, you, Mr. Ashik. Okay, Mr. Devashish, what new you want to add? Because they are young, they are more positive, they have outside the box thinking. I know. So Professor Mamun and from Daffodil and IUB, I think you should support our youth communities. Yeah, uh, Mr. Devashish.
So, thank you, Dr. Shrip. Thank you, all gentlemen. I think this is a very interesting and next and upcoming generation things. Like, I would like to share a history of my 18 years nephew. So my nephew knows like how to unlock my phone and how to go to YouTube and play her favorite song or cartoon. So the thing is that one day I gave her a book, and that was kind of art, and there was some letter over there. So she tried to scroll it up. So the thing is that the technology is saturated. So this time and this particular time we are encountering the technology. Think about it. Like my nephew is like is less than 2 years, but she is encountering the technology, as well as she is quite involved with the artificial intelligence, AI, and augmented reality as well. So what I believe, like in further education, we need to adapt these learning modules, and we need to open our mind in the new technology and environment. So if we think about the school colleges or universities, so there are traditional systems which have been happening, or the teachers have been following for a very long time. That's blackboard system. So the blackboard system need to be changed, or we can replace it with the touch screen smart boards as well. So in modern arena, what if I found out like who are technologically advanced, which schools and colleges are providing the Wi-Fi, and they are providing it for the students as well, and students are also allowed to bring their personal devices as well. So whenever we found out a smart school, college, or university, and we found out a smart campus, we can definitely think about 3D printers, as well as virtual reality handsets, virtual science experiments, and so more things. And I think this is the things that can make a mainstream to schooling systems, what we didn't encounter before. Or if we think about our generations and the generations who were in 1980, 70, they never think about it. So one interesting things in last 3 to 5 years, we are facing like a magic things, that is a smartphone. So a smartphone is being creating a huge profile shift in our communication. So in terms of communication, what we figure out, we are more used to, and we found it more interactive. So that's the reason most of the online portal who are providing the educations and the online learning management systems and everything, they are providing the app, a user-friendly app where every single person can interact with their hand, not with the mouse. So this is the things they can interact and they can love. Like if you think about a student, if you think about someone, or if you think about yourself, what we used to do, we used to, if we can touch something, we have a belief like, yeah, I can do it. So that's the thing the virtual reality simulation is doing. So in modern arena, they have been following it, and I think for modern education, we need to do that as well. And I'm accepting, and I do appreciate the concept of Mr. Akram. So what is happening, the personalization education system. So now what is happening, like faculty members and the institute is providing a curriculum, and there are the syllabus and quiz systems and everything which have been providing for every single students. Maybe I have a class and the class have 40 to 60 students. So what is happening, every single person is doing the same. So there is no variety, there is no variations and anything. So if we provide a personalized learning system or education system, we can see every single person have a personalized interest, and they can follow it. So with the help of AI and IoT, we can find out like what's the interest is or what the lacking is. So the scenario is, with what the main fact I personally found when I work with the education industry, and as per my experience with working for a learning management system company, which is founded in Finland. What I see, like in traditional education system, the teachers are doing good, the students are also doing good, but more or less, what I personally found out and what research found out, like we cannot focus like what the problem is, what the thing the student is stuck on. So we need to find out what the sticking point, and because of that, we need to create the we can create personalized learning systems and personalized learning module. I think with the help of this IoT and AI and virtual reality simulations, we can create that. And Bangladesh is not far from there, because most of the universities are trying to do some integration with the technology, with these IoT things and artificial intelligence. Like artificial intelligence is everywhere. So I hope Bangladesh and other countries and universities can also collaborate with these types of things. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And beside that, we believe that AI actually a tools. A tools can be usable in everywhere. But beside that, I think that we need to be more focused on understand different culture and different language. We have to learn different language, which will help us to grow a better ecosystem. So this is also very important. So thank you everyone for joining today's session. I directly want to go for the concluding remarks. Before this concluding remarks, I request all of our speakers and our audience, please share our content as much as possible with your government, with your think tank, with your corporations, NGO, and the government body. By this way, maybe we can figure out the problem and we can solve many problems together. That's why we invite many people, again and again, because like we need to develop as a team. Individually I'm nothing, but when 9 and 10 people we work as a team, then we can find out the solution. Maybe different people has different perception, different issues, but when we lead as a team, we can solve many problems. And uh, beside that, I want to thanks Mr. Tom Rose, because Tom Rose actually introducing AI uh, in American presidential elections in 2024. He's going for Tom Rose, like he's going for presidential elections. So his candidate, like he's actually running mate will be AI. So World Talent Economy Forum actually supporting Tom Rose for his excellent contribution for developing nations. Beside that, uh, Remy, he's an excellent, he's a really, really great student from Africa. He's doing PhD on talent economy. So he's doing research on talent economy. Remy, I want to give you thanks for your excellent contribution in research. So those who want to contribute in research and excellent education, industrial education, we are open for collaborations, and we need to work as a team, because individually we cannot solve anything, but maybe when 10 to 20 people we work as a team, we can solve many problems. And yeah, we are developing many ecosystem. We need lot of solutions, we need investment, we need corporations, we need new knowledge, so our professor can help us. So I directly want to go for the concluding remarks. I want to start from Mr. Akram Khan. Maybe perhaps he's the best think tank from India, and he can be alternative of SARC and this kind of institutions. I'm really grateful that he's joined today's discussions, and thank you for joining today. Mr. Akram, what's your concluding remarks today? And then I request our honorable professors. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif. It's so kind of and nice of you for your praising words. We are not number one, and South Asia is a big region. And yes, next 30 to 40 years belong to South Asia. It is a big market. It is a big place for talent pool, and especially the youth. Youth and technology go hand in hand. That is the conclusion of today's discussion. Let South Asia lead the technological revolution that is going to come. And yes, we all can work together to achieve it. No, individually, we cannot achieve it. The second point that I want to say that there are 5 core stakeholders, and their active participation is very important to achieve this goal. And they are the first, industry has to be the front runner. Let industry take the lead. And the second important stakeholder is academia. Academia is like a sleeping juggernaut. Mostly academia sleeps, 360 days, and then they suddenly wake up, for social change and revolution. Now, if the academia can wake up, academia is the only platform they can bring reforms, revolution, change. Let academia wake up today and take the lead, give the maximum space to the industry to achieve it. The third is policymakers. Policymakers cannot shy away, but their role would be more like a facilitator and listen to academia and industry very carefully and just do what they want. The fourth is civil society. Civil society within is a very big community. Let civil society players be more active, whether they are think tanks or media or many other institutions. The fourth is the international community. No big achievement is possible without the international community. Dr. Sharif, you are doing a wonderful work in terms of connecting the international community. Let there be also be the fuel to bring change in South Asia. And we all together can definitely do it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tom Rose, observing today's sessions, because Tom Rose is one of the excellent creative person from USA, and he's a transhumanist. Yes, I believe in transhumanism, because with the help of modern science, engineering, and technology, we can solve many problems. Professor Mamun, you are an excellent researcher. We also doing research. So if you have any research proposals, and we open for that, and I believe with your contributions, developing nations can solve many unique problems, especially for supply chain management and STEM education. Professor Mamun, what's your concluding remarks?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to give the special recognition to that World Teleconomic Forum. As by your leadership, they did a good job, particularly connecting the people. And what you said, we have to need the teamwork. And teamwork is very important, and you have to keep the platform. You did this one, and I already mentioned the earlier discussion that our another Bangladesh Society for the Private University Academics. We are willing to work with the World Economic Forum, particularly the research activities. And as you are asking me, I would say that there is a lot of things you can do in supply chain management, and particularly this reason. As you know, that the supply chain management basically started their journey around more than 20 years before, and there are lots of research in the developed country. Unfortunately, our developing country, this kind of like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, we are a little bit behind of the scenario. But I would say that all the time, this is one kind of opportunity for us, because if you think that in terms of population, Bangladesh, in terms of population, India, this is one kind of human resource you have to apply. So let us do something research on supply chain management. Particularly, I can give some area supply chain management in the health industry. This is the one kind of burning issue, and when the COVID-19 period, we face this issue that how we can solve the supply chain resilience, how we can solve the supply chain disruption, how we can create the resilience in the supply chain, the health industry. Definitely, educational supply chain is another key issue. You can think about this one. And if you think that education supply chain, that time the technology advance will be one of the key points. So I hope that we can work.
Hello, Professor Mamun. Sorry, I think there is an internet problem. Professor Mamun from Daffodil University, sir, what's your concluding remarks? I know you are an excellent leader, and you have unique thoughts and unique ideas.
Can you?
So, yes, Professor Mamun, yes. Professor Mamun Habib.
Yeah. Sorry. So
Yes, you
what
can
I said
finish.
that, yeah, we can add, we can do some research area in the supply chain, particularly supply chain management in the health industry and educational systems, so that we can integrate the raw materials to finished product, means the like the supply to the customer and consumer end, and we can do the customer-driven supply chain in health industry, customer-driven supply chain in the educational system. And definitely, you're doing a very good job, and your platform should use. And I believe that we can work together, and so the betterment of the society. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
our niche. Thank you, Professor. Our niche is research, coaching, and consulting, and we ensure best researcher, best consultant, and best trainers from around the world. And through this process, I'm sure, Professor Mamun, you can contribute around the world as well. So I want to invite you in our board. So this way, maybe you can contribute more. Professor Mamun, you are also one of the talented professor from Bangladesh, and even I can remember I work with you in Bangladeshi Student Union in Malaysia. So what's new? What's new concept you want to add for the global community?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. So, in this concluding remark, I want to say, as our today's main focus was the South Asian context, so I think Mr. Akram has mentioned 5 stakeholders. So, from that, just considering the South Asian education system. So, first, my specific point or specific recommendation or suggestion is that if we want to use the technology, so we have to be very careful selecting the faculty members or teachers who will be driving this technology. So as I have the few experience to study as well as more than 18 years in this field, so still according to me, maybe we have few drawbacks, especially for selecting the faculty or selecting the teachers. If you consider say, school and college, so there are some external influence, especially if you say the burden governing committee or governing body. So they are giving extra influence, selecting the right person at the right place at the right time. If you consider the university level, public or private, they have the different issue. If you consider the public universities, maybe they have one issue. But again, if you come to the private university, maybe they have the different issue. Due to the time constraints, so I'm not going to on the issue. But what I want to say, maybe who are the stakeholder or who are the top management or who are the policy makers, they have to be very transparent by selecting or appointing the faculty members. At the same time, if I consider the my government, what they can do, my government, I'm considering my Bangladesh government. You know that Bangladesh right now we are enjoying the demographic dividend. So I think, as I think earlier speaker, and I am the human resource student. I don't want to say that I am the human resource expert. I am the human resource student. So always I'm working on that. So we have the people, but if we can, these people, we can make the skilled people, so then I think that our government can gain the competitive advantage, especially they can enjoy the demographic dividend as we have the more talented young people. So that is the government perspective. And the last point, especially I want to focus on my PhD research area, that is I'm working on the environmental performance. So I want to say that everybody should be very much careful about destroying the environment. So as I'm working on green human resource management, so I know that as a student, as a university student, as a university faculty, or maybe if you are working in corporate or if you are an entrepreneur, from your side, every day you can do easily if you have a strategic plan or if you have a positive attitude, you can save your environment. You by saving the environment or by practicing the green human resource management, you can save the money as well as you can save the environment, which will be benefited for the corporation as well as for the future generation. So that is my talk. And lastly, of course, I want to give my convey and gratitude to World Talent Economy Forum for inviting me here, especially Mr. Uddin. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mamun. I want to give chance Mr. Saleh. What's your concluding remarks?
Thank you so much for inviting me.
In this program. So, in order to conclude my speech, so I would like to focus on my speech that I said before, that before applying any kind of technological innovation, we must build the significance, or we must build the such a kind of technical base that we should adapt it in properly. And this sort of base not only to provide the better usage of technology, but also it prevents the negative usage as well. And I would like to share one more thing, is that I also face another problem due to this technology problem, because it actually creates a problem in our work-life balance, for example. Because before COVID-19 pandemic, we used to conduct our all exams, classes within a particular office time. But now that there is no office time, this is a 24/7 office. So it actually creates a mismatch, or it is a misbalance in the kinds of work-life balance. So we should think about it, and also we must think that we should adapt technology in such a way that we should get a better outcome from it. And also technological technology is evident, and we can't avoid it, even if we don't like it, but we need to adapt it. So that's what I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Abu Sufyan, what's your concluding remarks?
So, concluding remarks is difficult to put together. However, I'm listening from everyone and trying to. I'm
Mr. Abu Sufyan, we cannot hear you. There is a noise.
Now it's supposed to be better.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So actually, I'm listening from everyone, and I'm trying to take some notes. And if I want to talk about 1 minute per speaker, it would be long. So maybe I would like to make it brief. So actually, as Adam was talking about a global cyber attack, I mean, we are talking about the potential positive side of technology and what changes it may bring in teaching and education in other areas. But at the same time, we must be careful about the negative side as well. So there is a conservative estimation of how much internet is pornographic content. It is like some studies find out it's 70%, and some studies find out it's 30%. Let's say it's 30%. So if 30% of all contents of a global platform is pornography, that is absolutely unfortunate. So at the same time, we need to focus on the dark side as well, and we have to be prepared for a global nuclear holocaust in the internet world. So we have to keep all the data in backup in printed forms and other format. However, so I would like to more think from all this from a humanist perspective. Although Mr. Sharif was talking about that I'm a philosopher or something, I'm not like that. I'm just trying to think about the things that matter. First of all, I mean, our existence as human beings are being affected by 4 things. And we are fighting against all these 4 things for century upon centuries. First of all, disease or pandemic. I mean, disease and pandemic are killing millions of people every year, every decades, and every century. And we are fighting against it. And then natural disaster. And then war. Let's say in our time, Iraq war, and also war in Kashmir and other places, in Syria, in Ukraine. So these are just very simple segment of war that we are witnessing. But if you go back 200 years, if you go back 500 years, it's all about war. One tribe is fighting another tribe. One country is fighting with another country. So this is another problem. And then famine, the lack of food, and global disaster of lack of food. So all these four things we are fighting. So we need to focus on technology from humanist perspective. How can we make use of AI and technology and all the advanced things to fight against pandemic, to fight against natural disaster, to fight against war, to fight against global famine? Then only we can actually make the world a better place. And I hope that the world uh, Talent Economy Forum, Mr. Sharif, and Professor Mamun Habib, and Adam, and others, and also Professor Mamun from Daffodil University, and Ashikur Rahman, and Saleh, and everyone will contribute towards that. How can we minimize human suffering? Our life is ultimately a tragedy, a catastrophe. We are fighting all these things: depression, anarchy, totalitarian government, and theocracy, and many other things in Iran and in many other places. So we have to invest our resources, our ideas, our energy, our education, our technology, and everything in hand to make the world a better place. And I urge everyone to join this in this platform and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Abu Sufyan, for your excellent concluding remarks. And don't worry, we have our superhuman, Mr. Tom Rose. Tom Rose, actually, he's running mate in AI, and this is the history, and this is the new history of the globalizations. And he will solve many problem of the internets and the social media with his running mate. So don't worry, we have our collective super intelligence, we have our AI, we have our excellent scientist, we have our all of the think tanks who will solve many problems, but we need proper collaboration in between developed and developing nations, and we can ensure that World Talent Economic Forum will be the best transparent platform. You can solve many of the problem, and don't worry, we will work together, we will solve problem together, and we will rebuild this new world. So Mr. Adam, what's your concluding remarks today?
Thank you, Shri. So I wanted to second what Mr. Abu Sufyan said. I also have great moral and ethical discomfort when it comes to pornography. I do not support it, and I am against it. It is evil, in my opinion. So, and there is suffering in the industry, and it destroys the natural and healthy sexuality of its viewers and consumers, and it can lead one down a slippery slope of greater darkness on both sides. So I'm glad you mentioned that, and furthermore, the fight against suffering, as Mr. Abu Sufyan said, is one of my main interests and motivations, so I'm glad he mentioned that. And Professor Mamoon raised a good point about the classroom of the future, or the lack of, rather, and the lack of a professor as well. And so we must not underestimate the value of socializing when it comes to learning and enjoying learning, socializing with other classmates in close proximity, and a face-to-face interaction with a teacher in real life rather than in a VR environment. So we are definitely a blessed generation in certain respects. Things are not perfect, and they probably never will be, but we should be very proud of with what we have accomplished, and there are more opportunities than ever to become an autodidact in a chosen subject or network of subjects. And I've said this before in a few episodes already, and I'm quite fond of saying it. This could be a new golden age of learning, of autodidactism, of polymathy, a new renaissance, a new enlightenment, like what happened in Europe several centuries ago. I read a very interesting factoid that the Enlightenment happened in part thanks to people in Europe switching from alcohol to coffee, and it had a stimulating, mind-opening and mind-expanding effect on people who went down in history as great thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau, Da Vinci, and so on. So the internet will have an even more dramatic effect, and that's very exciting. Thank you, Shri.
Thank you, Mr. Ashik. What's your concluding remarks?
Well, I was too much futuristic, but now if I want to come into the Bangladesh perspective, it is there a darker side here. The futuristic education and learning, but unfortunately, I have to admit some what the records is not like we are doing lots of futuristic thing here, because we have more than 82,000 schools, 23,000 colleges, and where you can find 1 million fresh blood studying and which was totally shut down during the pandemic. So if you want to teach some 1 million, if you just shut down for 2 years, the total 1 million students, which can be reached by these technologies, wasn't there. The budget uh, was 7.8 billion last year in Bangladesh, but unfortunately we couldn't reach them. Though in the future, with the technologies, what Mamun sir was talking, the AI, the holographic technologies, if the budget are properly introduced, it can be done to reach them. Rather thinking of the pornography right now, these 1 million people are in totally in the dark. They doesn't have the opportunity. They doesn't have the prospect. They doesn't have the uh, real scope of learning. If you want to talk about the future, what was the future of this 1 million student in my country? There was no future because 2 years there was the total dark. Technologies were every technology technologies were everyone hand. Smartphone was there. We could done something. We have the investment. We have the money, but unfortunately we couldn't reach. So I think the futuristic technologies must be much more focused on this point that the youths are really what suppressed here.
Mhm.
Uh,
Understand, Mr. Ashik.
so this is
Yes.
my concluding remarks here that we need to invest our fund in this particular sector, and the technologies should be much more available to them. That's how the future can be much more bright. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Ashik. I can understand your pain. That's why we developed this platform, World Talent Economy Forum, and we are introducing best of the best resources from around the world. And beside that, uh, this forum is 100% free. All of our content is 100% free. Any of the young people, those who have only internet connections, they can get all of the cutting edge internet informations, all of the cutting edge technology like AI, VR, like augmented reality, healthcare, sustainability, climate change, everything they will get, and they can understand what the global opportunities they have. Beside that, we are targeting 1 million students and the youth community, those who can engage with this cutting edge technology, and they can we can create employment, because from the global communities from around the world, from the Silicon Valleys, from the largest corporation like IBM, Microsoft, Google, all of them, we request them, please invest on the youth communities, and we need to create more employment from them. Yes, startup and entrepreneurship is one of the aspect. Beside that, we need to create more opportunity, but youth people must need to be positive. They need to figure out the way how they can get more support, and if they can figure out the way with World Talent Economy Forum, I will be happiest person in the world, and I can ensure best of the best resources from around the world. Those who run all of the big corporations, Ivy League university, even they run the big countries, they are also supporting World Talent Economy Forum. Even the Malaysians climate change division, the prime minister office, they are also engaging with World Talent Economy Forum. Why? They believe that World Talent Economy Forum, open dialogue and public-private partnership can develop resilient Malaysia. So we want to develop a resilient Bangladesh or resilient India or Pakistan. This is the way we can improve. So don't be upset, be proactive, try to find out the way, and solution will come to your door. Mr. Devashish, what's your concluding remarks? Then I will give chance Professor Mamun. He is honorable professors. Long time he is contributing a lot for the research. Research is very important. I know how tough it is in Bangladesh, but definitely I think you will get more global support to continue your work. First, I request Mr. Devashish, then Professor Mamun. Devashish, what's your concluding remarks?
Thank you, Dr. Sharif. So, if I talk about the phases of technology in education and teaching, I have few points to share. The first point I would say we need a integrated system as well as the real-time data analysis, and most importantly, the education industry and the students need to be open-minded to accept the technology and adapt with the technology. So, with these three or four fundamental things, the education industry can be mobilized as well as they can integrate with the AI and VRS, virtual reality simulation, and things like that, so that students and faculty members can take the time to spend in research and R&D and other activities, which is not only the bookish things. They can gather some practical knowledge, and they can know what is happening, how is happening, and what is going to be happen. Thank you very much, Professor.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you, Professor Mamun. What's your concluding remarks and how you want to give guideline for World Talent Economy Forum?
Thank you. At first, I'd like to say that all speakers, how they are giving the concluding remarks, it is highly appreciable. And particularly, I enjoyed a lot Abu Sufyan and his remark, Saleh Arman, my beloved fellow Abdullah Mamoon, Mr. Ashik, very young, talented Adam, and Devashish as well. So, definitely World Talent Economy Forum is doing a good job. So, as I'm doing the last job, so I like to share the one very specific comment about the. You're talking about the education system. You're talking the teaching. You're talking technology. At this moment, we have to emphasize on ethical education.
Mhm.
So we have to emphasize how we can create that ethical human resource. Those could add more values to the society. Nowadays, when I'm supervised at PhD student, when I'm delivering the lectures in the undergraduate level or postgraduate level, I always mention the last comment in the last session of the semester. We do not want the more technology, we do not want the more intellectual person. We do not want the more brilliant student. We like to get the more ethical person who could add the values to society. Whatever we are, you're the global citizen. We have to add the values to society. And now, if you add the technology, so we have to say, we have to think nowadays how we can create technology-driven, ethical human resource. I
Excellent.
again use the term technology-driven, ethical human resource.
Mhm.
We should
Excellent.
not forget humanitarian point of view. We should not forget the empathy, and we have to learn in our education system. And this pioneer role will come up from our faculty members, from the teachers. And then it will be conveyed the masses to our students. And that is the way that how we can create the technology-driven ethical human resource. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharif.
Excellent, Professor Mamun. Thank you, Mr. Saleh, Professor Mamun, Habib, Professor Mamun from Daffodil University, Mr. Abu Sufyan, Adam, and Devashish for your continuous support for World Talent Economy Forum. We arrange this open dialogue side by side. We do focus on research, coaching, and consulting, and we are contributing for national development. I can share at least 10 different countries we are contributing for national developments. So we do not move with our personal interest. Even we do not move with a corporate interest. We move with a national interest, and we need to work together. We need to contribute together, and we have to minimize the gap in between developed nations and developing nations. Even yes, we are the biggest lobby even for modern science, engineering, and technology. The more we can understand modern science, engineering, and technology with ethical point of view, definitely we can solve many social problems. Thank you for your excellent contribution. Thank you all of our speakers. Please share our content as much as possible. Hopefully, with your contribution, we can develop new world. Bye-bye and take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.